I mean, let's just be honest with it. There's no way I can sell a $250,000 house average out here sitting out there next to a wind tower. This is a big, long-term problem that has got to be addressed.
And when we moved out here, quiet was the main thing, and the open, wide view of Piedmont.
Am I going to buy in a town where a wind farm, a turbine can be anywhere in the city limits? No, I'm not. I'm going to go to cities that are considering this, that won't do this, that protect their citizens. I will come here.
And you're not going to have people wanting to move in. It's going to hurt the value.
They're just an eyesore and the noise and it affects the wildlife. That's why we bought that place, for the scenic value. And we have these damn wind towers here. You know, there ain't no scenic value to them.
I don't want your wind farm, I don't want your money, I don't want anything to do with it whatsoever. We moved out here.
Well, the city of Piedmont has received its first real clear message concerning a proposed wind farm for the area, and that message was, we don't want them. Hi, I'm Ben Felder, news director for the Piedmont Citizen, and during Monday's Planning Commission meeting, a standing room only crowd of residents filled the room at City Hall, and half a dozen residents spoke up during the public comments time, and not a single one spoke in favor of a proposed wind farm in the area that would bring up to 25 wind turbines inside the city limits of Piedmont. Now, 7 or 8 members of the public speaking during a planning commission meeting isn't necessarily a scientific way to tell what the overall public impression of this project is. In fact, there's been reviews on both sides of the issue, or signals from both sides of the issues received from members of the public. Here on PiedmontDaily.com, we've put up a poll, and at the very least, this issue seems to be split, maybe more in favor of the project than those against. However, this was the city's first real chance to hear directly from a group of citizens on the issue, and most of these citizens said that they lived in the area where these wind turbines would be located, and they said they didn't want them in their backyard. Some said that they were concerned about the safety and health risks. Others said that they were concerned with what wind turbines might do to their property values. But almost all of them said that the reason they moved to Piedmont in the first place was for a great view and wide open spaces, and they were worried about what a wind turbine would do to that. Now, a public hearing was originally scheduled for Monday's Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Commission was going to present a draft of a windmill ordinance, and the public hearing was going to give citizens a chance to speak directly to that ordinance draft. Now, late last week, for whatever reason, the city decided to push the public hearing back a month. City officials said that the draft was still being worked on, and so it didn't make sense to have a public hearing when the draft was still fairly fluid. However, that didn't stop several residents from signing up to speak during the normal public comments segment of the Planning Commission meeting, and they all spoke out against it. At many times, the audience applauded and cheered when a member of, or someone speaking, was very adamantly against the wind farm. Now, there was one person that did speak that was in favor of the wind farm project, and that was an employee of Apex Wind Energy, the Virginia-based company that's proposing this wind farm project. And Kent Doherty from Apex did say that according to studies that he had, the independent studies, that wind farms did not hurt property values. I have to say that we have researched this, and we haven't found any clear studies that say that wind turbines have a negative or positive impact on property values in the area. He also said that there were studies that showed that wind turbines are not harmful to people's health, and he tried to assure the public that the placement of these wind turbines would not create a visible nuisance. Now, I do think that out of everything that Mr. Doherty said, there was one thing that he said that was particularly true, and I think that even members of the audience who were against a wind farm project would agree with. And he basically said that, hey, we're a business that would just like to locate in your community, and it's up to you if you want to welcome us or not. And that's going to be the big question. Does Piedmont want to be a part of this wind farm? It seems pretty clear that this wind farm is coming to the area one way or the other. A map of the project shows that the majority of the wind farm project would be located in southern Kingfisher County and northern Canadian County, with a couple dozen of those wind turbines possibly located inside the city limits of Piedmont in the west. Now, if Piedmont were to embrace the wind farm, who knows? It could help shape the city's new identity as being a wind energy city. Apex has said that if they're able to bring their wind turbines, that they would look strongly at building a maintenance facility that would bring as many as 15 full-time jobs to the city. And for a city that's had a windmill as its image for a while, this would put a new twist on things, especially in an era when wind energy is really taking off. However, if the city decides that it does not want to be a part of this wind farm, Piedmont can really put its flag in the ground and say, hey, we want to stay true to our vision of being a rural and wide open community. Now, like I said, last night's our planning commission meeting is not necessarily an accurate test of how the majority of the public feels on this issue. It seems that even the Planning Commission is split a little bit on whether or not this would be a good idea for the city. And ultimately, this is going to come in front of the City Council, who will have the final say on this issue. But one thing for sure, wind energy is increasingly becoming a hot topic in Piedmont these days, and we're going to continue to follow this development all the way to the end. Well, for PiedmontDaily.com and the Piedmont Citizen, I'm Ben Felder.